Tax-free, you get to keep every single penny for a chance to win. Text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entry starts at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB21 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 26th of June. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pooled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dordme, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB newsroom to every corner of Britain, with our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News bulletins are there to deliver the latest news that matters to you.
Bulletins on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
It's 9 p.m. I'm Patrick Christys. Tonight,
long term, I'm going to be honest, I'm going to say it. I want to rejoin. I hope in my lifetime I see this country rejoin the European Union. I'm absolutely clear about that.
Well, Andy Burnham's now changed his tune.
I am not proposing that the UK considers rejoining the EU. I respect the decision that was made at the referendum.
The Makerfield by-election is hotting up. I've got all the latest info, and I'm going to be joined by Reform UK's economic spokesperson, Robert Jemrick. Plus...
Take it up! Take it up! Take it...
Well, people seemed a lot more annoyed about that at the Unite the Kingdom rally than this. Just calls to shoot someone in the neck. But nice to see that David Lammy's across his brief.
How can you know the Unite the Kingdom March organisers are spreading hatred and division if you didn't attend?
Well, look...
In other news...
You know it's dangerous, you know that people die on these boats.
We don't do any because that job we don't do. We have only phone shop we have.
Well, in news that might not shock you, actually, dodgy vape and phone shops are just fronts for small boat migrants breaking into Britain. On my panel tonight, we have got Daily Express columnist Carol Malone, Reform UK member, former Tory party chairman Sir Jay Berry, and political commentator Sebastian Salek. And can you guess what happens next here? Or what's going on here? Get ready, Britain. Here we go. I've got the latest on an active shooter situation at an Islamic centre. Next.
Good evening. Your headlines at 2 minutes past 9. Sir Keir Starmer has rejected calls to set out a timetable to stand down and has insisted his premiership is not over.
I do want to fight the next election. Obviously, I recognise that after the local election results, the elections in Wales and Scotland as well, that the first task is obviously turning things around and making sure that my focus is in the right place. The last 10 days, there's been a lot of activity which hasn't been as focused, in my view, as it should have been. And I remind myself every day that I was elected to office to serve the people, to serve the country. That's what I believe in, and that's what I'll be getting on with.
It comes after his potential leadership challenger, Andy Burnham, said a vote for him will be a vote to change Labour because Labour needs to change. Speaking at the Great North Investment Summit, the Mayor of Greater Manchester said that Makerfield is no ordinary by-election and that Britain has been on the wrong path for 40 years. Meanwhile, on the topic of Brexit, he said it's been damaging, but he's not in favour of rejoining the European Union. Instead, he said it is time politics brings people back together. Donald Trump says the US has called off strikes on Iran scheduled for tomorrow, but warned he could unleash a full large-scale assault at a moment's notice. Taking to Truth Social, the US president issued the warning in which he credited Middle Eastern leaders for requesting he hold off on another military assault as negotiations there continue. And staying in the US now to some breaking news. At least one person has reportedly been killed in what US police have been describing as an active shooter situation at the Islamic Center of San Diego. San Diego Police Department officials said they began receiving reports of the incident at around 11:40 a.m. at the mosque in Claremont Mesa. We will keep you updated on that story as we get it. Police are understood to be searching for suspects behind a physical attack on a Jewish man which allegedly took place in Golders Green in the early hours of this morning. Officers were called around 2 a.m. following reports that a Jewish man had been assaulted by a number of men outside a property on the Grove. There are some reports describing the attackers as 5 masked men speaking Arabic. Police are treating the incident, which left the victim with cuts and bruises to his face and body, as an anti-Semitic hate crime. Channel 4 has removed all previous seasons of Married at First Sight UK from its streaming platforms after very serious allegations. The BBC reported that 2 women said they were raped during filming of the dating show, while a third described an allegation of a non-consensual sex act. The men accused of sex attacks deny all the allegations against them, set to be broadcast in the Panorama documentary tonight. Now, some more breaking news. Pep Guardiola will reportedly stand down as Manchester City manager after Sunday's final Premier League game. That's according to the Mail. The 55-year-old has won 20 trophies and led City to 6 league titles. It is expected that the news will be confirmed sometime on Sunday. Those are the latest GB News headlines. Now it's back to Patrick.
Take the GB News family with you on any device. As long as you have an internet connection, tune into GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond.
Good evening, and some more breaking news for you now. There are reports of an active shooter at an Islamic centre in California. What you're watching on your screens right now is a huge police presence that has swarmed to the scene. Initial reports suggest that 2 people are dead and multiple people are injured. And I believe that we might be able to take you to some live shots in a second as well. Yes, we can. There you go. So you're looking at live scenes here now from the Islamic Centre in San Diego, and supposedly, yes, 2 people are dead. We don't know at the moment if that includes the shooter. There's also reports of multiple other people injured. Authorities say that the situation is still active but has been contained, and that's coming from the San Diego Police Department. And again, it's not entirely sure what that means. Active but contained. Possibly it means the fact that they are obviously all on the scene, police-wise, and that they are working to discover exactly what the motive was and exactly what happened. It doesn't seem as though there is a frenzy of activity in terms of police officers and SWAT teams storming the Islamic Centre, which might imply that the alleged suspect has been neutralised. But footage from local TV channel showed dozens of patrol cars on a highway bridge next to the Islamic Centre. Now, we're just getting some reports through here as it happens. It's very much a fluid situation, this. But NBC in the States are reporting that 2 suspects have been shot dead. So just to reiterate, the initial reports that we were getting through was that 2 people had died. 2 people have been shot dead. Now the reports coming through from NBC in America is that 2 suspects have been shot dead. So, again, we'll work to uncover whether or not that means 2 additional people on top of the 2 that were already confirmed dead, or if they were neutralised before they managed to actually shoot and kill anyone else. But you're looking at aerial shots here now over the Islamic Centre in San Diego. Police officers in their vehicles have surrounded the grounds. They had previously been aiming their rifles at the facility. I've got a statement for you here from the mayor of San Diego, who has posted on X saying, "I am aware of the active shooter." Bear in mind, this was posted, roughly speaking, 15 minutes ago at the Islamic Centre of San Diego in Claremont, and I'm continuing to receive updates from law enforcement. Emergency personnel are on the scene and actively working to protect the community in the secure area. And we have now got confirmation through that the threat has been neutralised, and this is coming through from official sources in the States. The threat at the Islamic Centre has been neutralised. Apparently, they have also now managed to set up a reunification zone, which is where worried loved ones of people who may have been in that Islamic Centre can go and meet their loved ones. So it does appear as though the actual active threat, the active element of this has gone. The next step will be identifying the motive, identifying who has done it, identifying how many people are involved, and obviously identifying whether or not those are the 2 people who are dead, or whether they have also shot, killed and injured other people inside the Islamic Centre. Just having a little look online, there is a sizable Muslim population in and around San Diego, possibly upwards of 100,000 people. So there's a large Muslim presence in the area. It will not be uncommon, clearly, for people to be attending this Islamic Centre. Again, it is actually quite a large centre itself. It's not some kind of small masjid, as it were. It does appear to be a very large Islamic centre. So I imagine it will be a hub for the local Islamic community there. But just to reiterate, the latest that we are able to bring you is that the local authorities believe that the threat has now been neutralised. I'm just seeing if I can get you any more updates for you here now, other than to say that the incident apparently happened at around 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Police were straight onto social media urging people to avoid the area. They said updates to follow, and then around 40 minutes later they did give us that update that significant resources were on the scene and that it is still active but contained. And clearly now in the last few minutes that has changed from an active situation to one that has been neutralised. The location is roughly 9 miles north of San Diego's city centre. I know to a lot of people one thing will be standing out. You can see a bit of it from these live shots, but probably when the helicopter was hovering more directly over the Islamic Centre a few moments ago. In fact, we might be able to see it now as it pans out, but there was just what appears, I mean, it just seems like hundreds and hundreds of police officers. And whenever you see these kind of incidents in America, it's always absolutely staggering, the speed and the scale with which the authorities are able to respond. And, of course, every single police officer there will be packing lethal force, which means, like a situation like this, they are able to neutralise relatively quickly. OK, look, the motive remains unknown. I would have thought we would get that relatively soon. They tend to be very, very quick in divulging that information stateside. So we'll get that to you as soon as we can. But we will come closer to home now and continue with the show as planned. And, of course, I think it's time that we talk a bit about the Unite the Kingdom march. So the official numbers say that around 50,000 people attended. I did speak to quite a lot of people who were there who say they believe the true number was much higher. But yes, it's fair to say there was some controversial stuff.
Take it off! Take it off! Take it.
Well, look, you know what? I might not have a fervent desire to put a burqa on in front of a crowd of people, but you know what? We live in a free country. And despite what some people might think, it is perfectly legal to mock the burqa, a symbol many regard of being female oppression, and indeed, any religion, including Islam. And I mean, for example, just have a look at the Book of Mormon. That's been playing on the West End now for over a decade.
My name is Jesus Christ, from the house of the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. Yes, God! Oh,
So, look, I can understand why people might have been a bit offended, but I'm afraid you are going to have to suck it up. You could go and live in one of the many Muslim countries if you wanted that banned. But it's interesting that some people on the left got very worked up about this. Well, it was Christian people holding crucifixes in a Christian country, waving a flag with the cross of St. George, our patron saint. But they seem a lot less bothered about stuff like this from a previous pro-Palestine rally.
If the West feels so sorry for the Israeli Zionists, why don't they give a place in Germany? Why don't you go to Hitler's back garden and make an occupation there? Then they will know what kind of people these are. Why every so many hundred years the Zionists get slaughtered? Because Hitler knew how to deal with these people.
Hitler knew how to deal with these people. Or even the stuff, actually, that went on at the Nakba Day pro-Palestine counter-protest, like this guy, a bloke there with a sign. And by the way, I'm sorry if this offends anyone, because it does contain, well, a string of quite offensive words, actually. Hang every Zog pedo C-word. They only arrested him yesterday, apparently, after the protest. There were also just open calls to smash Israel. Or stuff like this from the former head of the RMT union, Steve Headley, swearing and appearing to call Jewish people baby killers.
Off, kid killer, baby murderers, go off. Listen, just leave it. Just do something about it. Come on. What's wrong with that little kids you can't kill? You can't face a man.
There were also just open praise for the Ayatollah. All right, so look, shall we bring up the total number of arrests and the breakdown, which is what we've got so far? So there were arrests on both sides for hate speech. Unite the Kingdom march, there were 20 arrests in total for everything. That's as it currently stands at the time of me being on air. And at the Nakba Day march, there were 12 arrests, although I suppose you can bump that to 13 now. It looks like that lad with his sign have been arrested. The police had to get involved at one point to stop what appeared to be masked Antifa thugs attacking the Unite the Kingdom patriots.
Just do us a favour, keep back a bit, mate. Mate, don't get right up behind them, nice one.
Yes, and yet the whole build-up was about how bad the Unite the Kingdom rally was, making out that everybody there was a far-right fascist. Despite years of open calls for jihad on the streets, rampant anti-Semitism, support for banned terrorist organisations, David Lammy chose to only focus on the Unite the Kingdom rally in the run-up. He actually opened up more court space for people that they were going to arrest. Not for rape victims who've waited years for a trial, not for people who've been victims of knife offences, no, for people going to the Unite the Kingdom rally. And then look at this today. The Justice Secretary and Deputy Prime Minister goes on national radio and he starts just lobbing stuff out there without even doing the most basic bit of research. I mean, I can't actually imagine how mind-bogglingly lazy you have to be to not even research the arrest figures and find out what side they came from.
How can you know the Unite the Kingdom March organisers are spreading hatred and division if you didn't attend?
Well, look, this was not the first of those marches. Some of those that were asked to come and attend.
No, I appreciate that, sir, but you were referring to the ones on Saturday. You didn't know. This is a wild
come on, Nick.
Isn't it?
Nick, you and I have known each other for years.
Too long, some would say.
Let's be clear.
Interesting, really, from what David Lammy said there, because I wonder what he would have said to this woman.
Furious because I'm an ex-military. I was in the RAF for 12 years. I served my country. I'm very proud of my flag. I wear my flag proudly because I was born here in this country and my parents came over in the 60s and worked hard. They contributed to the economy and they bought a house and they moved into the suburbs and it was fantastic. I was born in Whitechapel, yeah, and I wouldn't recognise it now at all. At all.
Well, if only our politicians spent as much time fixing the reasons why people are so frustrated as they do demonising the people who are. Let's get the thoughts of my panel this evening. Daily Express columnist Carol Malone, Reform UK member Sir Jake Berry and political commentator Sebastian Sally. Look, we're going to be a bit squeezed here because obviously we had that breaking news from the States. But Carol, I'll start with you. What's your kind of sense of what we saw at the weekend there from both sides on this
Everyone
protest?
I know who was there, and I've spoken to quite a few people, they said it was a perfectly peaceful march. But what I thought was interesting at the weekend was that on the Unite March, there was no mass chants calling for the deaths to minorities, and yet that was the march that Starmer chose to pick out. Lammy then accused the Unite March of spreading hate and division. The only people doing that were the members of our own government, because they think anyone who is right-wing, they describe them as far-right. They think anyone who loves their country is far-right. Anyone who flies their flag is far-right. And this is nonsense. You know, that Lammy business there, that's just typical of him. You know, he wasn't at the march. He wants to condemn them. He's pulled up on it and he starts to pull the friendship thing with Nick and go, oh, come on, we've known each other a long time. And Nick is pinning him down saying, what happened? Do you know what happened? Could you name a single incident that went on that was a hateful incident? And he couldn't name anything. So, and you touched on it before about him opening up court time to deal with these people. Of course, that's what Starmer did during the Southport riots. You know, just let this fact sink in. There are 80,000. There's an 80,000 backlog of court cases to be heard. 4,000 of those are adult rape cases. 1,750 are child rape cases. Gosh. And yet, and 2% of all rape cases get a conviction. Just let that sink in, 2%. Yeah. And yet, this guy will open court time for these protesters where there was no trouble, and yet he won't do it for rape victims.
What do you make of the weekend there?
Well, I think, you know, David Lammy's comments show that he's politically lazy. You know, there is a thing within the left where they say, well, these right-of-centre marchers, far-right marchers are bad. I don't think that was. I didn't go. I'd spoken to people who were there. They said it was a very peaceful, very respectful march. And it's just really sort of calling to his own supporters and say, look, you know, if people don't agree with our politics, we'll treat them more severely. And actually, if you look at the numbers there, really interesting, those numbers you spoke about, the arrest. OK, there was 20. I'm sure none of us think that's acceptable. It's not. Those people were rightly arrested. Let's look at the Notting Hill Carnival. Yep. Over 500 people arrested this year. 4 people were stabbed. He's not calling for that to be cancelled. Over 2,700 people have been arrested because of the Jewish hate marches in London. There's no action about that from the government. They're not clearing courtrooms so they can deal with this. This is a politically motivated attack on one particular viewpoint. Whether you agree with it or not, it's not what government should be doing.
OK, yeah, Seb, what do you make of it, then, overall, as a kind of weekend?
Well, I'm relieved, to be honest. It seems like a very well-policed protest on both sides, really. Look, I think the reason why there was so much focus on the Unite the Kingdom march is because last time it happened, 3 times the number of people who were expected to turn up came. So the police were, in some senses, blindsided. So I think that's where the focus is there. Look, there were horrendous things on both sides. I heard awful reports from that march. We've seen tonight horrible things said at the other, but it seems that both of them went off largely peacefully. Yes, there were some distasteful things as well. But look, I think we can write this up as a policing success.
But 2 members of our government came out and condemned that march before anything had ever happened. They condemned the Unite the Kingdom march and not the dozens of pro-Palestinian marches we've seen over the last 2 years.
Well, I think the difference is that the Unite the Kingdom march has a figurehead, and it's Tommy Robinson, and it's a man that's so extreme that
What did he do on Saturday that was so wrong?
I don't know what he did on Saturday, but the point is he has a background. He's been to prison, hasn't he? He's got a string of beliefs.
And
that,
no one
you know,
of those Palestinian marchers have been to prison, I suppose.
No, but I'm sure they have. But the point I'm making is that march had a figurehead, and the Palestinian.
Well, I don't really see that as relevant. I mean, I do think people will watch this and think, look, this is two-tier policing again from the Labour government. You know, there hasn't been the right sort of crackdown on these Palestinian hate marches. We've seen attacks on Jews. You reported on one actually in the headlines this evening. There hasn't been the right sort of policing of
Why was this weekend two-tier policing, though?
Well, because they used facial recognition for the Unite the Kingdom march. They didn't use it for the pro-Palestine march.
Can we just point out, before you go on, Jake, 2 of those arrests were made of the Unite the Kingdom people before they ever got to the march because they were wanted for other offences at another time.
You had David Lammy, so just to go to the end of my list, thank you, Carol, for the annotation there. You had David Lammy clearing court time solely to deal, as he said, with the Unite the Kingdom march.
Well, yeah, because
that didn't
last time 3 times the people turned up. Whereas the Palestinian march have been happening at a steady pace.
2,700 people have been arrested. They didn't clear court time for that. And you had our Prime Minister and our Justice Secretary come out and condemn the march before it even happened. Where have they been when Jews have been attacked on the streets here in the UK condemning those Palestinian marches? They haven't. And the reason they haven't condemned them is because they are left people. There's trade union leaders. We saw one on the TV telling people to go away in very flowery language. There's trade union leaders. And the reason they're not attacking it is because Keir Starmer needs the votes, he thinks, from the people who are going on those.
If you think all trade union leaders are friends with the Labour Party, then you're in for a shock, my friend.
Look, you saw him on the TV.
All right, well, there we go. Right, look, loads on this evening. We want to kind of catch up a bit here. So coming up...
Long term, I'm going to be honest, I'm going to say it. I want to rejoin. I hope in my lifetime I see this country rejoin the European Union.
Well, Brexit's back, isn't it, I'm afraid? Apparently one Labour insider gave Andy Burnham a 45% chance of winning today. Reform UK's Robert Jenrick is going to join us live shortly, but before that...
Take it up! Take it up! Take it...
Yeah, we mentioned it briefly earlier. We're going to be having a debate next. Is it actually ever OK to mock the burqa? That's next.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that, because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
Needs to stop. You think we can allow...
Politics, policy, parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, this Trump made a good start. No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB newsroom to every corner of Britain, with our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News bulletins are there to deliver the latest news that matters to you. Bulletins on GB News,
The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Yes, welcome back to Patrick Christys tonight. So, we're going to have a debate now. Is it ever OK to mock the burqa? Time for the head-to-head. Well, the reason I'm asking is obviously because there's tens of thousands of Brits descended on London over the weekend for the Unite the Kingdom rally. There was a bit of a moment that sparked some controversy.
Take it off! Take it off! Take it.
Yeah, so going head-to-head on this now are the journalist and commentator Khadija Khan and the former Green Party candidate Fahima Mohammed. Thank you very much, both of you. Great to see you again. Khadija, I'll start with you. Go on. Do you think it's ever OK to mock the burqa like that?
Thank you so much, Patrick, for having me on. First of all, I want to clarify that I'm not speaking on behalf of any group or organization. I'm here to discuss whether mocking the burqa constitutes anti-Muslim bigotry. And the answer is mocking and burqa and niqab does not constitute anti-Muslim bigotry because it's a tool of women's oppression, and criticizing the misogynistic ideology behind this attire does not amount to anti-Muslim bigotry. People have the right to criticize religion, religious symbol, and misogynistic practices that subjugate women through mockery and ridicule in a free and liberal democracy such as Britain. This goes without saying that burqa and niqab are extreme and depraved interpretation of religious modesty, which dehumanizes and objectifies women and sexualizes young girls. Majority of women are often compelled to wear the burqa due to societal pressures and a misogynistic religious belief that they should be held accountable for men's inability to control their sexual urges. The question should be that in a progressive liberal democracy, can we truly overlook the absurdity of such archaic, medieval and misogynistic belief?
Khadija. Oh, we've got to get Fahima in now. So, Fahima, I imagine there's quite a bit you'd like to come back to there.
Well, look, people are legally free to criticise religion, satire exists, and nobody is saying that Islam should be beyond scrutiny. But this debate is really about what kind of society we want to become, and British law protects both free speech and freedom of religion. So the point of a liberal society is that people can live differently without being publicly humiliated for it. For example, if a woman is forced, mockery is cruelty. If she chooses it, then mockery is intolerance. And either way, it is not liberation. So again, I also find that this is such a double standard, because if somebody mocked an Orthodox Christian woman of Catholic background or religion, a Jewish woman's wig, or a Sikh turban, or a ridicule a nun on the streets, and rightly so, including myself, I would find that to be disrespectful and antisocial. So, and we have to also understand the context. These framing is not just free speech and banter and cultural criticism. It also leads to unfortunate, harmful, incidents that we're seeing on the rise of anti-Muslim hate as well as anti-Semitism. We've got attacks on mosques, we've got attacks on, Jewish people for whatever the reason. So absolutely, we have British culture for humour and banter, but there's a difference between comedy and degrading women because of their faith identity. And you want to obviously, help and protect vulnerable women. You do that through safeguarding, education, support services, not public humiliation.
Fine. Okay, look, sorry about this. We're going to have to be very quick and then we're going to have to get going, I'm afraid.
Anti-Muslim bigotry is real and a crime in the UK, while criticising Islam is not illegal in this country. Nevertheless, I've been falsely accused of Islamophobia and bigotry on national radio. I've been personally attacked and verbally abused by a hijab-wearing Muslim women and Muslim men on more than one occasion on national TV for merely criticising Islam. Let's face this harsh reality that bigotry and prejudice are pervasive social evils found in all human societies, and Britain is not an exception. What sets us apart from the rest of the world is our unwavering commitment to challenge bigotry and uphold the dignity of every individual through humane laws. I think people need to stop recklessly conflating a misogynistic dress code with the dignity of Muslims as people. It's time to stop hesitating and address the widespread normalization of misogynistic attire in Britain, which dehumanizes and alienates and discriminates against women and young girls.
Talking over each other, I'm afraid.
I do not, like 10 seconds. Condone your attacks that has been against you. That is completely wrong. I've had it myself. You get attacked for,
You are one of those people who attacked me personally.
Sorry?
You're one of those people who attacked me personally on national TV.
I did not attack you in any way. And if it came across that way, then that was not my intent. I would never attack any woman. And to be honest, I get attacked for being Muslim and wearing hijab. You get attacked for being an ex-Muslim and expressing your views. None is correct.
I'm not here to discuss myself. Please stick to the topic.
A good point for us to draw a line under it, I think, for this evening.
You do not have your ex-Muslim bias and trauma.
Stick to the topic, please. Stick to the topic.
We are going to have to put a pin in this, I'm afraid. Sorry, but thank you. We're just a bit pressed for time. All right. So this is journalist and commentator Khadija Khan and former Green Party candidate Fahim Mohammed. Did not want to be in the middle of that one in the studio. Coming up.
I am not proposing that the UK considers rejoining the EU. I respect the decision that was made at the referendum.
Look, it's the big one, this, OK? It's hard to imagine bigger consequences to a by-election. It could create a new Prime Minister, it could spark a general election, and actually, yes, it could take us back into the European Union. Reform UK's Robert Jenrick joins us live next.
Be nice to escape the grey.
Clear skies, here we come.
As clear as our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello, we've got some rain affecting France as we go through Tuesday, warm in the sunshine elsewhere with a few showers. There is a bit more cloud across the Canary Islands and across Madeira, best of the sunshine across Portugal and Spain, outbreaks of rain affecting France. Elsewhere, many places are seeing sunny spells, a few showers bubbling up as we go into the afternoons, but otherwise temperatures are on the rise, plenty of sunshine, highs into the mid to high 20s.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hi there and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. It's going to be a damp night for most of us, strengthening breeze as well, with heavy showers then following the rain from the west and dominating throughout much of Tuesday. It's unsettled out there. In other words, low pressure in control of the weather for the time being, ushering in spells of rain followed by showers. This is all ahead of drier and warmer weather we're expecting later this week. But for now, we've simply got the rain, and it's a wet night, especially for Northern Ireland, Wales and the southwest, with the rain turning heavy around midnight. A fresh breeze, and because of the cloud, as well as the rain and the wind, it's going to be a mild night, much milder compared with recent nights, temperatures of 11 or 12 Celsius first thing Tuesday. The one place where it will stay dry through the night is Shetland, Orkney, Caithness, parts of Aberdeenshire, where we begin the day with a keen breeze, 9 degrees, and cloudy but mostly dry. It's damp for the rest of Scotland, rain on and off, nothing particularly heavy away from the southwest of Scotland. Soon enough, showers following the rain for Northern Ireland and more especially for Wales and the southwest, though it's a damp start to the day for eastern and northern England. In between, something a little drier for the Midlands into central southern England for a couple of hours through the morning, but these showers move in and they're going to be frequently arriving from the southwest through the day. Heavy at times, prolonged as well, where these showers merge together. In between some sunshine, yes, and it will feel a little less cold compared with the last few days, 18 or 19 Celsius in the south and southeast. Wednesday starts off showery again, a lot of cloud out there, but it's a mild start to the day, and through the day we'll start to see the winds change direction. They'll push a lot of the showers through, but we can expect also that change in wind direction to bring higher temperatures through Wednesday, Thursday and into Friday, peaking into the mid to high 20s later this week.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
OK, welcome back to Patrick Christys Tonight. So, are you ready for the biggest by-election in modern history? Andy Burnham was today forced to deny that he would haul Britain back into the EU after his leadership rival, Wes Streeting, said that he would. It comes as the Greater Manchester Mayor began campaigning in the Makerfield by-election, which is expected to be a knife-edge vote. In fact, today, Labour insiders have suggested that Burnham only has a 45% chance of winning, with Reform expected to throw everything they have at the seat. So I'm joined now by Reform UK's Treasury spokesperson. It is Robert Jenrick. Great to see you. Good evening. Thank you very much. So, right, surely you're going to learn the mistakes of Gorton and Denton, are you? Not parachuting a celeb. You're going to have someone local standing, are you?
I think Lee Anderson, who's our new chairman, said today that it's not going to be a carpetbagger, in his words. It's going to be a local person. So you have to wait and see. Not very long to wait. It's going to be the next day or two. But yeah, it's going to be somebody with deep local roots in the community. And what a contrast that will be to Andy Burnham, who is basically just using this community for his own ends. You know, he could have stood anywhere. This seat came up because the Labour MP had only been there for 2 years, got disgraced, quit, you know, ditched the seat, tried to stitch it up for Andy Burnham. Andy basically just wants this as a stepping stone to become Prime Minister. At Reform, we want to choose somebody who's going to be a genuine local champion for this community.
I mean, Andy Burnham does say that he was born, like, literally a few roads away from Makerfield, so he is local.
Well, sure, but, you know, from what we've read, he was trying to get someone in Bootle to step down. He was trying to get somebody in the centre of Manchester to step down. It's pretty obvious what's going on here. He's taking these people for granted, using them as pawns in his own political career. He just wants to get into Parliament as quickly as possible so he can try and become Prime Minister. That's not the way you treat people. A parliamentary seat isn't just something to be traded like that. It's about trust with the local people.
OK. One of the big issues this race has had, clearly, is about the EU. I mean, Wes Streeting's having a little bit of mischief, I think, isn't he? Basically, he's saying that he'd take us back into the EU. We played a clip a bit earlier on, Andy Burnham saying that he hopes he lives long enough to see us rejoin the EU. It is a big ambition of his. He's now been forced to deny that. 65% of people in Makerfield voted for Brexit. So presumably this is going to be a central bit of the campaign, isn't it? Because Reform's existing slogan was, you know, vote Reform, get Starmer out. But actually, in this seat, if you vote Labour, you're getting Starmer out as well, aren't you?
But we want to get Labour out. You know, the only good Labour is no Labour. So we want to use this election not just to finish off Keir Starmer, we've done that, but we want to finish off Labour. and ensure that we can finally head towards a general election. But if you're asking me what does Andy Burnham think about the EU, well, I don't really know is the honest answer. You know the joke that there's a Blairite, there's a Brownite, there's a Corbynista, there's a Starmerite. They walk into a bar and the barman says, "Hello, Andy, what would you like to drink?" And that's the point, isn't it? You know, he's had views across the whole political spectrum. It's basically what suits my purposes today.
You voted Remain, didn't you?
I did, but I'm not going around, changing views all the time. What he's doing is saying one thing just a few months ago at the Labour Party conference to please the Labour Party members, and now, less than a year later, he's saying something very different because he knows people in Makerfield don't like it. And the point is here, what is the consequence of getting closer to the EU or even rejoining it? It's opening our borders to 500 million people. And how does that serve the people of Makerfield? How's that going to help them to get housing or get their kids onto the social housing list? How's it going to help them to get doctors and dentists or to have the wages that they deserve if it's going to be undercut by cheap foreign labour once again, as it's been for 25 years? No one wants that in Makerfield. They don't want to relitigate the Brexit wars. They actually want to just get on and have good jobs, lower their bills, get rid of the crime, the hollowed-out town centres in places like Wigan. That is what they want, and the way to deliver that is through reform.
I mean, one of the issues I imagine for reform is that, look, Keir Starmer, he's literally the most unpopular Prime Minister in recorded history. We all know about it, so wooden birds are nesting in him. Andy Burnham, to his credit, at least seems a bit more human. And this is something...
he's a human version of Keir Starmer, but does that mean that he's changed? I don't think so. I mean, this is a man, remember, who left Cambridge University, nothing wrong with that, came down to London and worked his whole career from 21 to 45 in Westminster. He was a researcher, he was a special advisor, he was then parachuted into a safe seat by the Labour Party, worked as a minister. He's not change. Why is it going to be real change if you end up with Andy Burnham as your MP or indeed as our Prime Minister? Real change is having a complete change of scene where you get someone like Nigel Farage in who's going to actually shake things up and deliver for people in Makerfield. And I would just ask people who are watching this programme in Makerfield, do you feel better off after 9 years of Andy Burnham as your mayor? Is the high streets in Wigan or in Ashton in Makerfield, do they look better after 9 years? Is there less crime? Are there better jobs? I don't think the answer to those things will be yes. I think things have got worse for them over the course of the last 9 years.
Fine. There was potentially a slightly unhelpful intervention from the Reform Mayor in Hull, Luke Campbell, earlier on. There is a clip of this, I think we'll play it now.
Are you optimistic that if Andy Burnham became Prime Minister, he would use his influence to champion the north of England in the way he does as Mayor?
I think he would. Look, I've met Andy several times. I ain't had a deep conversation with him about his politics, but he seems like a really nice guy to me.
What kind of Prime Minister do you think he would make?
I don't know. No idea. I guess we'd have to wait and see.
Yeah, what do you make of that? But maybe not like that helpful to the reform cause. They're saying that he thinks he's quite a nice guy.
Well, he said he was an all right bloke, but he didn't know what kind of Prime Minister he'd be. You know, what's wrong with that? But look, I do remember when he was in Westminster and he had a reputation of somebody who blew in the wind, wasn't a great minister. Remember when he was Health Secretary? He was involved in privatising the NHS, PFI, which we're going to be paying for years to come, and he was the guy who blocked the public inquiry into the Mid-Staffs hospital scandal that eventually got pushed through by the government that came afterwards. So, look, I'm sceptical of Andy Burnham. But the point is this. He's just using the people of Makerfield. You know, he's taking them for granted. And I think that they should use their vote to upset the apple cart.
You know what Labour are going to do? They're going to throw the Nigel Farage's £5 million gift around everywhere. You know, for talk
well, they did before the local elections.
A man of the people, he's trounced £5 million.
Well, Patrick, they did before the local elections and a lot of other smears. It didn't do them very much good, did it? Because Reform did incredibly well. In Makerfield, it got more than 50% of the vote. And since those times, you know, in the last fortnight, all the polls show Reform doing even better. So parts of the media, the Labour Party, can throw whatever they like at reform. They're obviously going to in the months and the years ahead, but it's water off a duck's back to us.
Just lastly, do you think that the Conservatives and actually Restore Britain should stand down in this seat? Because Rupert Lowe's announced he's going to be standing a candidate today. They've named her, actually. We're going to talk a bit more about that later on. And I imagine the Tories are standing. So should they stand aside?
Yeah. Well, they could do what they like. In honesty, it's irrelevant. When we had the by-election down the road in Gorton and Denton, the Tory party lost their deposit. At the local elections, they were nowhere. You know, my view, and, you know, it's said with a heavy heart, is that the Tory party is irrelevant in most of the country. They're a regional pressure group now for posh parts of London. You know, it's Kensington and Wandsworth. It's not Newark and Wigan. And so what they do in this by-election isn't going to make a blind bit of difference. And I'd also say that, yeah, Reform are getting a healthy number of former Tory voters, but in Makerfield, actually, it's a lot of lifelong Labour voters who are coming over to Reform. And it's that bringing together of people from the left and the right who voted for other parties for their whole lives, maybe for generations, that is what is so unique about Reform.
OK, Robert, thank you very, very much. Robert Jenrick there, who is, of course, Reform UK's Treasury spokesperson. Definitely all to play for in Makerfield, isn't it? Coming up, an Albanian murderer fled to the UK in the back of a lorry, lied to get asylum, and then was eventually deported back to his native country. Can you guess where he is now? I'll tell you in a couple of minutes' time.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
We should be almost banned.
Do you really?
I really do, because and then you just let the listener or the viewer find their own a take on it and their own opinion about it.
Right.
I really don't like it. At Olympic Games, I really don't like the sort of cheerleading and showboating and the we this, we that, we the other.
So you're not the USA.
I'm sorry.
No,
it's Britain. Britain are third in the medals table. Not we are third in the medals table.
Right.
I think.
OK. And how does everybody react to that? Is everybody... Because I must admit, I do quite like the we thing.
I don't.
OK. Tell me about favourite sporting events, because I'd imagine London 2012 must be the greatest thing you've been involved in, right?
Yeah, it absolutely was. I mean, I've been very lucky across, you know, a whole load of things. I mean, one of my... You always remember the things, you know, you always remember the first time. You know, to be in the Olympics in Seoul in '88.
Yeah.
And to see Ben Johnson win the 100 metres, and then the furore off the back of that, when, you know, with the possible exception of Lance Armstrong, you know, the biggest drug scandal in the history of sport. I mean, that was an amazing.
So were you covering that at the time, that race?
For BBC Radio, yeah.
So at what point did you know about this? Because now it's known as the dirtiest race of all time, isn't it? But at the time, this man had broken the world record. He was the greatest sprinter anybody had ever seen, and it was such a huge story.
The most amazing thing about it was, I can't remember how big the crowd was, but in my head it was like 100,000.
Yeah.
And when he crossed the line and you saw on the electronic scoreboard what time he'd done, you've never heard 100,000 people be so quiet and then be so loud, because the reaction was just... that's not possible. A bit like, you know, running under 2 hours for a marathon.
Yeah.
And then, of course, so we all thought this is just extraordinary and beyond belief.
GB News, the People's Channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
OK, welcome back. So, an Albanian murderer is back in Britain, despite being deported more than a decade ago. Afrim Sinani shot a man in a revenge killing and was subsequently jailed for 20 years in 1996. But somehow the Albanian escaped and entered the UK illegally in the back of a lorry in the year 2000. So he pretended he was a Kosovan refugee, granted asylum in 2010, but he was rumbled and deported back to Albania, where he was then released again from jail in 2017. But here we go again, because it turns out he's now living in a council house in London, where properties can sell in that area for more than £400,000. Joined now by the former Immigration Minister, Kevin Foster. Kevin, thank you very, very much. What do you make of this?
Well, it's a pretty shocking case, and this is someone who's been thrown out the UK once before, has some of the most dangerous violence offence. He has killed someone, he's been convicted of that in his home country, and now has snuck back in the country and is living in a house that's owned by a local council in an area where there's clearly people waiting for a home. So it's just quite shocking. It brings up all sorts of questions about border security, and this is the man's family. It's known he's linked to them. Why hasn't anyone been keeping an eye on the fact that this guy's known to want to, like, sneaking in the country? And, you know, who was this man living at this property? It raises a lot of questions about the monitoring going on.
Yeah, it's also, again, like the British public have a basic expectation of safety, and it appears that our borders are so porous that we can have an Albanian murderer wandering in and out at will.
Well, it certainly brings questions about how he came back in. It's probably not worth going into the exact details of how biometric checks would be done on, for example, people coming in via boats and airports for obvious reasons. But that would usually be how you'd identify someone like this, would be they're almost certainly going to use false names, so their face and their fingerprints. But it raises more questions, and how it took the media to detect that this person, a dangerous man, is back living in a council-owned property here in London, presenting a threat to a local community.
Yeah, I mean, look, it came out today that Haile Selassie's grandson is living in a council house in the Isle of Dogs. Sierra Leone's First Lady is living in social housing in inner London as well. So it does appear that we've got ample social housing for Albanian murderers, the First Lady of Sierra Leone, or indeed the grandson of Gabriel Haile Selassie, but not potentially for actual British families.
No, there'll be families listening to this who'll be absolutely incensed, who may be in temporary accommodation, particularly here in London, where prices are very high in terms of private rental, and you know, to try and buy somewhere for the average working person is almost unimaginable within anywhere within about 20 miles of central London. So this sort of stuff just annoys me. And again, it brings up what do we need to do around our social housing, our benefit system, in terms of reform to make this a system that actually is fairer to those who fundamentally have paid for it.
Absolutely. Look, Kevin, thank you very, very much. Really appreciate your time and coming into the studio. So it's Kevin Foster there, who is the former Immigration Minister. A Home Office spokesperson has said, while it is our long-standing policy not to routinely comment on individual cases, this government is committed to removing foreign national offenders at the earliest opportunity. Under this government, returns of people with no right to remain in the UK have surged, with nearly 60,000 illegal migrants and foreign criminals removed since the 2024 election. Coming up,
I am not proposing that the UK considers rejoining the EU. I respect the decision that was made at the referendum.
The Makerfield by-election is hotting up. Andy Burnham's been forced to change his tune over Brexit. Do you believe him? And we're also going to be talking about the remarkable story that, you know, those dodgy vape shops and phone shops? Yeah, well, it turns out they really are dodgy, because some of them are fronts for illegal Channel migrant crossings. That's next.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hi there and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. It's going to be a damp night for most of us, strengthening breeze as well, with heavy showers then following the rain from the west and dominating throughout much of Tuesday. It's unsettled out there. In other words, low pressure in control of the weather for the time being, ushering in spells of rain followed by showers. This is all ahead of drier and warmer weather we're expecting later this week. But for now, we've simply got the rain, and it's a wet night, especially for Northern Ireland, Wales and the southwest, with the rain turning heavy around midnight. A fresh breeze, and because of the cloud, as well as the rain and the wind, it's going to be a mild night, much milder compared with recent nights, temperatures of 11 or 12 Celsius first thing Tuesday. The one place where it will stay dry through the night is Shetland, Orkney, Caithness, parts of Aberdeenshire, where we begin the day with a keen breeze. 9 degrees and cloudy but mostly dry. It's damp for the rest of Scotland, rain on and off, nothing particularly heavy away from the southwest of Scotland. Soon enough, showers following the rain for Northern Ireland and more especially for Wales and the southwest, though it's a damp start to the day for eastern and northern England. In between, something a little drier for the Midlands into central southern England for a couple of hours through the morning, but these showers move in and they're going to be frequently arriving from the southwest through the day. Heavy at times, prolonged as well, where these showers merge together. In between some sunshine, yes, and it will feel a little less cold compared with the last few days, 18 or 19 Celsius in the south and southeast. Wednesday starts off showery again, a lot of cloud out there, but it's a mild start to the day, and through the day we'll start to see the winds change direction. They'll push a lot of the showers through, but we can expect also that change in wind direction to bring higher temperatures through Wednesday, Thursday and into Friday, peaking into the mid to high 20s later this week.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
There's a totally tax-free £76,543.21 in cash to be won. Cash to spend on anything you like. That's like having over £6,000 extra to spend each month for a whole year. You could spend it on a bucket list holiday, treats for all of the family, or just save it for a rainy day. For a chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB21 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 26th of June. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pulled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave. I'm so surprised. I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From court mornings
to warm family brunches.
From football to tennis in the car.
In the kitchen.
GB News Breakfast is there with the stories you need and the conversations that matter.
Anyway, let's talk business.
Well, it has been a historic night in British politics.
It's astonishing, isn't it?
We're here again to start your day just right. GB News Breakfast.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Britain's news channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5.
You got me good there.
Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racist tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
It's 10 p.m. I'm Patrick Christys. Tonight.
Long term, I'm going to be honest, I'm going to say it. I want to rejoin. I hope in my lifetime I see this country rejoin the European Union. I'm absolutely.
Well, Andy Burnham's now changed his tune.
I am not proposing that the UK considers rejoining the EU. I respect the decision that was made at the referendum.
Well, the Makerfield by-election is hotting up. I've got all the latest info for you. Plus,
you know it's dangerous. You know that people die on these boats.
We don't do any because that job we don't do. We have only phone shop we have.
so dodgy vape and phone shops are just fronts for small boat migrants breaking into Britain. I've got all of tomorrow's newspaper front pages tonight, and the breaking news on the front of the Eye is that HS2 will cost more than NASA's Artemis moon mission. I mean, HS2 will cost more than NASA's Artemis moon mission. I mean, it's not even happening, is it? At least Artemis went somewhere near the moon. I mean, did we make it to Birmingham? On my panel tonight, we've got Daily Express columnist Carol Malone, Reform UK member, ex-Tory party chair Sergey Berry, and political commentator Sebastian Salak. Now, can you guess what happens next here? Or what's going on here? Get ready, Britain. Here we go. It's already kicking off in the most important by-election in British history. Next.
Good evening. It's 1 minute past 10. Your top stories this hour. Sir Keir Starmer has rejected calls to set out a timetable to stand down and insisted his premiership is not over.
I do want to fight the next election. Obviously, I recognise that after the local election results, the elections in Wales and Scotland as well, that the first task is obviously turning things around and making sure that my focus is in the right place. The last 10 days, there's been a lot of activity which hasn't been as focused, in my view, as it should have been. And I remind myself every day that I was elected to office to serve the people, to serve the country. That's what I believe in, and that's what I'll be getting on with.
It comes after his potential leadership challenger, Andy Burnham, said a vote for him would be a vote to change Labour because Labour needs to change. Speaking at the Great North Investment Summit, the Mayor of Greater Manchester said that Makerfield is no ordinary by-election and that Britain has been on the wrong path for 40 years. Meanwhile, on the topic of Brexit, he said it's been damaging, but he's not in favour of rejoining the European Union. Instead, he said it is time politics brings people back together. Donald Trump says the US has called off strikes on Iran scheduled for tomorrow, but warned he could unleash a full large-scale assault at a moment's notice. In a post on Truth Social, he said he had been asked to do so by the leaders of Qatar, Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates as negotiations continue. Staying in the US now, at least one person has reportedly been killed in what US police described as an active shooter situation at the Islamic Center of San Diego. Officers said they began receiving reports of the incident at around 11:40 a.m. at the mosque in Claremont Mesa. The San Diego Police Department have now confirmed on social media that the threat has now been neutralized. Police are understood to be searching for suspects behind a physical attack on a Jewish man, which allegedly took place in Golders Green in the early hours of this morning. Officers were called around 2 a.m. following reports that a Jewish man had been assaulted by a number of men outside a property on the Grove. There are some reports describing the attackers as 5 masked men speaking Arabic. Police are treating the incident, which left the victim with cuts and bruises to his face and body, as an anti-Semitic hate crime. Channel 4 has removed all previous seasons of Married at First Sight UK from its streaming platforms after very serious allegations. The BBC reported that 2 women said they were raped during filming of the dating show, while a third described an allegation of a non-consensual sex act. The men accused of the sex attacks deny all the allegations against them, set to be broadcast in the Panorama documentary tonight. Pep Guardiola will reportedly stand down as Manchester City manager after Sunday's final Premier League game. That's according to the Mail. The 55-year-old has won 20 trophies and led City to 6 league titles. It is expected that the news will be confirmed sometime on Sunday. Those are the latest GB News headlines. Now it's back to Patrick.
Take the GB News family with you on any device. As long as you have an internet connection, tune into GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond.
Good evening. Brexit is back. The most important by-election in British history is hotting up nicely. Even Labour insiders aren't that optimistic. One source apparently gave Andy Burnham a 55% chance of losing the seat, a 45% chance of winning. And it looks like Reform are going to potentially field this guy, Robert Kenyon. He's a British Army veteran who worked for the NHS and is now a local plumber. He stood at the last general election. He got about 32% of the vote and around 5,400 fewer votes than Josh Simons, who won it at the time for Labour. But a lot's changed, hasn't it? And at the local elections, Makerfield went fully Reform and Mr Kenyon was elected as a local councillor, smashing his Labour rival. Interestingly, the Greens are not stepping aside. There were rumours that they would, but it looks like they are going to stand here now. And to add to the chaos, Rupert Lowe's Restore Britain are apparently standing candidate Rebecca Shepherd, a local businesswoman. And to make matters even more complicated, Keir Starmer, despite reports over the weekend that he's telling his friends that he's going to step aside, well, he's not going anywhere, even if Burnham wins, apparently.
Andy Burnham wins the Makerfield by-election. Will you set out a timetable to stand down, as some of your colleagues in Cabinet want you to do?
No, I'm not going to do that. It is obviously a very important by-election. And can I be really clear, as I was with my staff this morning, it is a fight between Labour and Reform. It's a very important fight. I will be backing 100% whoever the candidate is, not quite chosen yet, but soon to be chosen. Whoever the Labour candidate is, I'll be 100% behind them. I want the whole of the party, the whole of the movement to come together. Whatever views people may have on the direction of the party, that needs to be put to one side. It's an important by-election. Let's come together and do what we do as a party best, which is to unite as we campaign into this by-election.
But this is the big talking point.
Britain's future lies with Europe and one day, back in the European Union.
So Labour leadership contender Wes Streeting has already come out and basically said that he would take Britain back into the EU, which puts Andy Burnham in an awkward spot. Burnham is a massive Europhile, big Remainer, and his old clips are now coming back to haunt him.
Long term, I'm going to be honest, I'm going to say it. I want to rejoin. I hope in my lifetime I see this country rejoin the European Union. I'm absolutely clear about that.
Well, how's that going to go down with the people of Makerfield? 65% of them voted for Brexit. Burnham was forced to come out and deny that he'd rejoin the EU today.
View is that Brexit has been damaging, but I also believe the last thing we should do right now is rerun those arguments. I'm not proposing that the UK considers rejoining the EU. I respect the decision that was made at the referendum, and it's going to undermine everything I've said about strengthening democracy if we don't respect that vote.
It's nice to see him wearing something other than the world's shortest shorts for a change, though, isn't it? He went out for a jog in front of the cameras the other day, returned about 45 minutes later in his car, which a lot of people found a little bit weird, but he says it's because he left his car somewhere after having a pint at the football. But do you really believe him? About Brexit, I mean, not the jogging and the car stuff. I'm going to make a prediction here. Might be wrong. I'm going to make a prediction here. If Andy Burnham wins Makerfield, he'll become the Labour leader, and at the next general election, Labour's manifesto will say, rejoin the European Union. Let's get the thoughts of my panel this evening. Daily Express columnist Carol Malone, Reform UK member Sir Jake Berry and political commentator Sebastian Salek. Right, so, Carol, it's all hotting up in Makerfield, isn't it? What do you make of Andy Burnham's politics, I suppose specifically around the EU?
You know, let's be clear, Andy Burnham doesn't give a stuff about the good people of Makerfield, and I think they're smart enough not to fall for his flannel. He was saying at the weekend, I'm going to champion this community, I'm going to champion your needs. No, he's not. He's piggybacking on them to get into Downing Street. Don't forget, Labour sees people who voted for Brexit as gammon, who wrecked Britain with their dumb vote. And they will not, the people of Makerfield will not forget that. And I'm hoping they kick his ass out. And also, it will sentence the Labour Party to a slow, lingering death under Starmer, which is absolutely what it deserves. You know, the people in Makerfield now must know that they're in a position to make history. This could be their revenge on the party that was founded to represent the working classes but has betrayed them at every turn, particularly this Labour Party. So I'm very much hoping that they kick his backside out, and I think they will.
OK, well, look, Jake, I'll bring you in on this. Well, what do you make of how much of a pivotal role Brexit is going to have to play here? Because, again, you, like Robert Jenrick earlier, you voted Remain, didn't you?
Well, look, I think the thing is about Andy Burnham is he wasn't standing... It was about a year ago he made those comments. He wasn't standing for election then, and it's the truth, isn't it? That's what he really believes. That was not in the Labour Party's manifesto at the last general election. They don't have a mandate to do it. It's clear that Andy Burnham wants to do it, Wes Streeting wants to do it. Keir Starmer himself said only last week, although it feels like a lifetime ago, that he wants to put Britain back at the heart of Europe. They have no mandate to do this. And rather having these Labour wars, Starmer versus Burnham versus Streeting versus Miliband versus Rayner versus whoever else, let's have what the country really wants, which is a general election. Whoever is the Labour leader after Starmer goes should seek a new mandate relatively quickly, not the day after they do it, should seek a new mandate, and let's have the debate this. It's profoundly, about this, it's profoundly undemocratic for anyone to talk about overruling that 10-year-old vote now, the biggest democratic mandate this country has ever seen in terms of numbers. It's profoundly undemocratic, and I think that's what Burnham should be calling.
What do you think, Sam? Do you think that Burnham and/or Streeting will take us back into the EU, or at least look to?
I don't know that they will, you know, and I think this is entirely consistent with what Burnham's saying. He said he wants to go back into the EU in his lifetime. Now, look, we're talking decades there. Hopefully. And that means that he's not necessarily going to stick it on the manifesto if he becomes the Labour leader. I think it's probably the right place to be. I would like to see us go back into the UK, into the EU eventually, but it's probably not politically the right thing to do if you want to keep the country together now.
It's so dishonest, though, isn't it? This all really irritates me. It is so dishonest for him to say something. It's fine to hold those views. Heartfelt, about a year ago, look, this is what I'd like to see happen. To now say, whoa, because I want your votes in Makerfield. I'm going to pull back.
But you and Jenrick both voted Remain.
But we're Democrats. And, you know, first of all, I believe Brexit has been a good thing. And second of all, when the British people decide something, I can't, after I was kicked out by my constituents after general election, go, oh, no, you've made a mistake, I was a great MP. That is called being a democracy. You go with the wisdom of the crowd, the wisdom of the majority. And, you know, it's profoundly wrong for Andy Burnham to be pretending he believes one thing when actually he actually believes another. And the second thing is also, I'm completely fed up with this as well. People who say that Brexit didn't work. This is failing politicians blaming us having left the European Union for our own failures. I heard David Lammy being interviewed today, and he said, well, after we left the European Union, immigration went up. Yeah, not immigration from the EU. That was Boris Johnson and the Boris wave, which saw immigration from the rest of the world. Nothing to do with Brexit.
Go back to Burnham.
Politics is failing people.
Though. This is about Burnham and him winning this seat. The thing is, why do Labour MPs believe Burnham is the saviour? I've been around long enough. Because I'm old enough to remember when he was a minister in 2010 and again in 2015. He was shockingly lacklustre back then. He was responsible for multi-billion-pound failures in policy. When he was the health secretary, he played down the effects of MRSA in the Mid-South hospitals, which cost 1,200 lives. He frightened the bejesus out of the British people over swine flu by exaggerating the symptoms. The man was hopeless when he was in office. Why are MPs now screaming, oh, if only Andy was in power? He will be Starmer Mark II. He's weak. He will take the party to the hard left. He's enthralled to the unions. He wants to raise taxes. He wants to reinstate the 50p tax rate. The man will be hopeless. If you think Starmer's bad, wait for him.
Is there a risk, do you think, Seb, that Andy Burnham is a southerner's idea of what a northern man should be?
Yes.
What do you mean by that?
So, like, you know, he supports Everton. He apparently can drink 9 pints without seeming drunk, according to a friend of his. You know, he's a bit seen as a bit of working class, a little bit like that. Do you know what I mean? But it's like, this King in the North stuff, which actually maybe isn't quite borne out by the actual facts.
Yeah, look, I think, if you're going to define anybody by a catalogue of their mistakes, then of course they're going to look terrible.
What else do you define them by?
Well, you can give a balanced picture of anybody, can't you? But look, there are two things here. One is that, yes, of course he is less tarnished because he hasn't been in Westminster. But the problem is here that we are looking at personalities and we're looking for figureheads to come and replace Starmer. We should be looking at policies. And even now, even today, we don't have a concrete idea of what Burnham wants to do.
Yes, we do.
And that should really concern us.
We
no,
absolutely
we don't.
know what
We have a vibe.
We
have a
know
rough
he's
idea,
hard
but
left.
we don't have hard
We
policies.
know he agrees with more welfare, higher taxes. We know that. It's been his mantra since he was 15 and joined the Labour Party.
I can. Failing the victims of the grooming gangs in Manchester.
Exactly.
OK, so you're willfully misunderstanding my question. I'm asking about what will he do if he's Prime Minister?
Is this what he's done?
No. I'm asking you, what will he do if he's Prime Minister?
But you can
Well,
look
he
at what
has
he's
a
done.
Labour's manifesto. Listen, in Manchester, he actually spent 100 million quid of taxpayers' money on a failed
So I'm just going to stop you
clean
there
air
because
scheme.
this proves my point. None of us around this sofa can name a Burnham policy because he hasn't elucidated them
He's not
properly.
been leader. How can you say to
He
name
came
a
out with some
Burnham
policies
policy?
this week. We should talk about them. Go on. He wants to renationalise the water. He wants to renationalise electricity, gas. He wants to renationalise the railways, actually already existing Labour policy. He is a red in tooth and claw socialist today. By the way, I don't believe he'll do any of that when he gets into power. I think Andy Burnham says whatever he wants people to believe. And it's easy to say he is popular as the Mayor of Manchester. Let's not forget that as a Mayor of any, whether you're Boris Johnson, Ben Houchen, anyone, or Andy Burnham, you're like Father Christmas. All you're doing is giving away taxpayers' money to the people you represent. They are all popular. It is easy. Patrick, I could take your credit card to the nearest pub here to the studio and I'd be the most popular man at the bar. So actually, you know, Andy Burnham had the ability to raise taxes. He didn't do it. I remember I was Northern Powers Minister. I said, look, why didn't you raise a business rate levy? He said, oh, no, I don't want to tax the people of Manchester. So let's see. I think Carol's right. I think when he has the glare of leadership, being Prime Minister, he will
challenge, serious challenge for Labour. It was a challenge for anyone, actually. I mean, it looks like it's going to be a two-horse race to Reform and Labour. Yeah. You know, it could be one of those by-elections. I mean, I think, didn't Sarah Potion won by, like, 4 votes or something, didn't she?
Really narrow, wasn't it?
Like, ridiculous, yeah. So it could be one of those. You know, Reform have got, I suppose, Seb, the foundation of a 65% Brexit backing area. It might have changed over the years. We don't know, really. 65% Brexit backing area. Recently went Reform in the local elections. And what I can't quite get my head around is some of the vox pops I've seen recently of people in Makerfield who said, I voted Reform at the local elections, but I would vote for Andy Burnham. So how are you going from voting for Reform to voting for Labour in the space of, like, a week? It seems a bit, yeah.
I think the issue here is that all of us think in terms of cascading views, which is that if somebody has one opinion, you can guess all the rest of them, because we live in the Westminster bubble and we all think like that. But most people out there don't. They make up their mind on individual issues, so it's very easy to be swayed by one Reform policy and then swayed by one Labour policy, and that's how floating voters exist.
If I lived in Makerfield, I would be furious that this bloke who has nothing to do with my area or constituency
his children go to school in the constituency. He lives next door.
Is coming in
He's
and saying he really cares about them. He doesn't give a stuff about them. He's piggybacking on them to get back into Downing Street, and that's all it is. It's not about... It's not about looking after the needs of those people.
Do you think Reform have to go for a local candidate?
Well, I think it would be best for Reform. I don't know who the candidate's going to be. I think it would be best for Reform. I see that Lee Anderson was appearing on this channel this evening and said that they are not going to have a carpetbagger. It will then probably likely be someone local. I think that's what people in Makerfield should want. They should want a good, hard-working Reform Member of Parliament who's going to represent their views in Parliament.
Do you think the Tories and Restore Britain should stand aside?
No, I think all parties should stand in all elections. That's the point of being a national party. I've always believed that. I hear these noises off about people should step down. Let the voters decide who represent them, not some stitch-up between political parties.
Interesting. All right, well, look, we'll see what tomorrow holds, really, when West Streety no doubt tries to shaft Burnham again with some of the policy that Burnham's going to have to defend. But it is time for the Great British Giveaway, and it's absolute wheelbarrows full of cash. Here's how you could be in it to win it.
We're counting down to a spectacular summer. It's your chance to win £76,543 and 21 pence in totally tax-free cash. A lump sum that you could have in time to splash out with this summer. Imagine all the things you could do with that cash. Give the garden a glow up, max out on a new motor, or just make sure the coming year is your year. And because it's tax-free, you get to keep every single penny. For a chance to win £76,543 and 21 pence in tax-free cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB21 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 26th of June. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pulled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
OK, look, coming up, all of tomorrow's newspaper front pages and the breaking news on the front of the eye. I mean, look at this headline. HS2 will cost more than NASA's Artemis moon mission. It sounds like one of those jokes, doesn't it? You know, I bet this costs more than it does to go to the moon. Well, it turns out it does, actually. But before that...
You know it's dangerous. You know that people die on these boats.
We don't do any because that's job we don't do. We have only phone shop we have.
So you know on your high street how there's probably quite a dodgy-looking vape or phone shop and maybe, I don't know, like 20 different Turkish barbers, and you think, gosh, I wonder where they get the money from. Yeah, well, there's been an investigation done, and it looks like they might actually be taking money to help bring illegals across the channel. I'll reveal all next.
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB newsroom to every corner of Britain, with our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News bulletins are there to deliver the latest news that matters to you. Bulletins on GB News,
The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in,
The late edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages.
because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christys tonight, late edition.
Alex Armstrong tonight, late edition. From 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world. Am I allowed to talk then? No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that, because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
We can allow.
Politics, policy, parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Patrick Christys Tonight. All of tomorrow's newspaper front pages coming shortly. Some corkers on there, actually. I'm just having a quick look. But first, a BBC investigation has found that people smugglers are directing illegal migrants to pay for illegal channel crossings using a network of UK-registered businesses. So let me break this down for you. Staff at one South East London shop appear to have been caught telling an undercover reporter, posing as the relative of an illegal migrant trying to cross the channel, that thousands of pounds could be deposited with them and then sent from that shop in London to a smuggler in France. Here it is.
The shop worker knows what the money's for and the risks involved.
Why do you move money for people smugglers?
We don't move money.
You know it's dangerous. You know that people die on these boats.
We don't do any because that's job we don't do. We have only phone shop we have.
It's the lies for me, isn't it, when they do that? I mean, it's ridiculous. You've been caught red-handed. It's a bit like, do you remember that one where he was literally caught selling cocaine? Have you kind of said, no, don't sell drugs. But anyway, I'm joined now by former Met Police Officer Graham Wetton. Look, Graham, in a way, this is not a particularly surprising story to a lot of people because a lot of people see these kind of vape shops, phone shops, you kind of barber shops, all of those, and you just know they're dodgy. And now we have videos like this.
Yeah, good evening, Patrick. Impressive piece of investigative journalism. I think it took them 3 months, this investigation. So that's in about half an hour tonight, and I watched it. It has taken a considerable period of time to gather this evidence. It is astonishing. These businesses are actually linked to Companies House in the UK. So they are, it's almost like there's no deterrent for them to run these businesses, take the money and be involved in people smuggling. So it just shows the extent of the network and possibly the challenges that face the National Crime Agency, Border Force in trying to follow the money, see where it leads them, because the report also highlighted the fact that some of these shops are also in Belgium. I think there's a car wash in Belgium and a restaurant in Paris that are also taking money to smuggle people over to the UK. So it is like an international network run by very highly experienced and professional organised crime groups.
Yeah, but it's also their ability to get away with it, which you alluded to, and whilst everyone seems to be struggling at the moment and pubs and restaurants are closing down and people are having to lay people off because they can't afford to hire their staff, we've got youth unemployment at 16%, the industry that seems to be absolutely thriving is this kind of phone/vape shop. And you wonder, how do you make it pay? And, allegations of mass money laundering. In this case, just funding or helping to fund the illegal migrant crisis. Surely the police or the Inland Revenue or someone like that could be doing more to stop what is going on in plain sight.
Yeah, they could, they should be. It's very difficult on occasions to, the old adage, follow the money, see where the money leads you. The difficulty there is sometimes, as it alluded to in the report, the BBC programme, the money's taken out of the country. So I think they identified something like 2.9 million in available assets that could be seized. Up until, I think, Feb this year, they'd only seized 1.6 million of it because a lot of this money is taken out of the UK, which makes it nigh impossible to retrieve it, to seize it under the Proceeds of Crime Act. So that's where the difficulty lies in. They might identify premises or a shop, and you saw there, and you alluded to in your piece, they are blatant lies when it comes to being faced with the truth is what they're doing. They need to have some sort of deterrent. Face criminal offences, etc., and charges.
I think the particularly galling thing for a lot of British taxpayers and just law-abiding citizens, actually, is that it seems like Britain at the moment is just a playground for foreign criminals. And we've seen reports as well, in fact, I've literally uncovered this going on, where quite a few of these human traffickers or the people behind the networks are actually in Britain. So they are based here in Britain. And they're foreign nationals. So we let people come to our country, very generous benefit system, maybe they set up a business, and then they just rip us off and help with the invasion. And it just seems like absolutely mind-boggling that this can go on, and frankly quite offensive.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I think this is we mentioned this before. This is now at national crisis level. National Crime Agency are working with it. This needs an international effort to deal with these people smugglers who, many of them are in this country. They've got contacts abroad. It needs almost like a Europe-wide initiative to deal with the problem, both in the UK, but also, as I mentioned, Belgium, Paris. The money goes further afield. It is about following the money, but then working with other agencies to seize their assets, give them a deterrent. There seems to be no effective deterrent. When you seize money, it doesn't seem enough.
A lot of it is, if you take it back to its natural conclusion, I mean, a lot of the people that I've uncovered are based in Pakistan or thereabouts, Iran or Afghanistan, actually. And then if you take that to its natural conclusion, where's that money going? Is it actually helping to fund terrorism, which, you know, is like the ultimate kick in the nuts for us, really? But I do actually have some breaking news come in, and I promise you we didn't plan this. It was just a massive coincidence, but it is right on topic. The breaking news, Graham, is this. Rogue barber shops, vape shops, mini-marts and sweet shops linked to organised crime will now face raids, closures and cash seizures under a new £30 million crackdown targeting money laundering, tax evasion and illegal working. So it's part of a new high street organised crime unit which will bring together government departments, policing partners and trading standards. So look, just to reiterate, that breaking news has just come through a minute ago, is that apparently there is going to be essentially a new unit, I suppose you could say, opened up here, deliberately designed to tackle rogue barbershops, vape shops, mini-marts and sweet shops as well. So, OK, this is a step in the right direction.
Definitely, and not before time. I mean, you mentioned this in your intro, but how many of these shops you see pop up with, you know, even in my area, you've seen barber shops, vape shops, all very, very glamorous and kitted out. And you do wonder where the money comes from. And there seems to be very few people, often customers in there. So how are they generating their income? It does need an initiative, as I mentioned when I was talking about the report itself, a national initiative linking those agencies you just mentioned, police, customs, etc., inland revenue, the whole lot working together to target these. But it does need funding from central government, and it sounds like they're going to get that. So hopefully they can now target the source of some of this work.
Well, that's good. I mean, look, you know, a lot of us taxpayers, you know, I still resent the amount of tax that we have to pay, and I think most people do. However, I would feel a little bit more comfortable about it if when I was going about my daily business and you're walking around, you know, one of the usual suspect type streets, and you occasionally saw the odd raid taking place. Because then, even if they find nothing, I just like the idea they'd be creating a visibly uncomfortable environment for people who are basically swindling the taxpayer as well. But Graham, look, thank you very, very much, mate. Always a pleasure to see you. It's Graham Weston, there's retired police officer. Home Office spokesperson said this is about the immigration aspect to it. We're working relentlessly with European partners to disrupt the launch sites, seize boats and boat engines and dismantle the criminal networks behind dangerous gangs. Joint action has prevented more than 42,000 illegal crossing attempts since the election. We've delivered the largest migrant smuggling crackdown on record, with disruptions including arrests, convictions and seizures up 76% since July 2024. Well, I can't wait to get you all of tomorrow's newspaper front pages. And this, for me, is the standout one. HS2, on front of the eye, HS2 is going to cost more than NASA's Artemis moon mission. Plus, we do have a big update for you, a major update on the shooting that took place at the Islamic Center in San Diego. Don't go anywhere.
I forecast a perfect holiday in the sun.
Weather looking good then?
For sure, and no worries about our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GBNews Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello. We've got some rain affecting France as we go through Tuesday, warm in the sunshine elsewhere with a few showers. There is a bit more cloud across the Canary Islands and across Madeira, best of the sunshine across Portugal and Spain. Outbreaks of rain affecting France. Elsewhere, many places seeing sunny spells, a few showers bubbling up as we go into the afternoons, but otherwise temperatures are on the rise. Plenty of sunshine, highs into the mid to high 20s.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GBNews Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hi there and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. It's going to be a damp night for most of us, strengthening breeze as well, with heavy showers then following the rain from the west and dominating throughout much of Tuesday. It's unsettled out there. In other words, low pressure in control of the weather for the time being, ushering in spells of rain followed by showers. This is all ahead of drier and warmer weather we're expecting later this week. But for now, we've simply got the rain, and it's a wet night, especially for Northern Ireland, Wales and the southwest, with the rain turning heavy around midnight. A fresh breeze, and because of the cloud, as well as the rain and the wind, it's going to be a mild night, much milder compared with recent nights, temperatures of 11 or 12 Celsius first thing Tuesday. The one place where it will stay dry through the night is Shetland, Orkney, Caithness, parts of Aberdeenshire, where we begin the day with a keen breeze, 9 degrees, and cloudy but mostly dry. It's damp for the rest of Scotland, rain on and off, nothing particularly heavy away from the southwest of Scotland. Soon enough, showers following the rain for Northern Ireland, and more especially for Wales and the southwest, though it's a damp start to the day for eastern and northern England. In between, something a little drier for the Midlands into central southern England for a couple of hours through the morning, but these showers move in and they're going to be frequently arriving from the southwest through the day. Heavy at times, prolonged as well, where these showers merge together. In between some sunshine, yes, and it will feel a little less cold compared with the last few days, 18 or 19 Celsius in the south and southeast. Wednesday starts off showery again, a lot of cloud out there, but it's a mild start to the day, and through the day we'll start to see the winds change direction. They'll push a lot of the showers through, but we can expect also that change in wind direction to bring higher temperatures through Wednesday, Thursday and into Friday, peaking into the mid to high 20s later this week.
From cold mornings
to warm family brunches.
From football to tennis in the car.
In the kitchen.
GB News Breakfast is there. With the stories you need and the conversations that matter.
Anyway, let's talk business.
Well, it has been a historic night in British politics.
It's astonishing, isn't it?
We're here again to start your day just right. GB News Breakfast.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
All right, welcome back. Big update for you very shortly on that shooting at the Islamic Center in San Diego, but I want to give you all of tomorrow's newspaper front pages. First, here is the Daily Mirror. I won't walk away. It's a defiant Keir Starmer, despite reports over the weekend that he was going to do just that, actually. The Guardian, Burnham, Labour must change to regain trust. It's funny, isn't it? I mean, I noticed this first when Barack Obama very first got elected, and the buzzword, it was just change, 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 change. Every single election, that is big. The Labour manifesto last time round was a picture of Keir Starmer with the word change on it, and now we're hearing change again. So there you go. The Express. Britons want to keep pension triple lock, so that's interesting. That'll divide people. The iPaper, HS2 will cost more than NASA's Artemis moon mission. I mean, that for me probably is the headline of the day so far. We'll talk about that in a second, but I do just want to give you an update on that breaking news from earlier today. Now, the threat at the Islamic Center in San Diego has been neutralised. You will remember that there was a shooting at that Islamic Center. The San Diego mayor has now confirmed that there is no ongoing threat to the community. Now, this is the latest. So, authorities have confirmed that 5 people are sadly dead, including 2 shooters who shot themselves, and they are apparently aged 17 and 19 years old. One of the victims was a security guard for the Islamic Center who played a significant role in preventing this from being much worse. That's what authorities are saying. Footage from the local TV channel showed dozens of patrol cars on a highway bridge next to the Islamic Center, and that's what you're seeing now. Officers and their vehicles surrounding the grounds, aiming rifles at the facility. And I believe I might be able to play you a clip now from a press conference that was held just a few moments ago.
There is no
further threat. Both suspects in this case are deceased. All of the kids are safe. Our hearts go out to the families that are in this moment being notified of what has happened to their loved ones. We have 3 confirmed adults that are deceased at the Islamic Center.
So just to clarify, as we understand it, it's 3 innocent victims, as it were, and 2 shooters who took their own lives. He did hint a bit at a motive. Here it is.
There are 3 deceased adult males, and those are the presumed victims at this time. We are considering this a hate crime until it's not.
OK, so we're considering this a hate crime until it's not. So there you go. That is the latest from San Diego. We'll get you more info. And I would expect, by the way, to have more information on this in the next hour, which I am on air for. So I'll bring that to you as we get it. Let's bring up the front page of the Eye newspaper, shall we? This story is, it's comical, but also really depressing. So the HS2 will cost more than NASA's Artemis moon mission. The UK's stripped-back high-speed rail link is set to become the most expensive rail line in the world, with further delays and higher costs expected when the new timetable is announced. It's tomorrow. The new cost is supposed to be... So it's 140 miles of rail line, and it's going to reach £100 billion. The Artemis moon mission to land astronauts on the moon, not go around it, to actually land them on the moon, is 79 billion quid. Jake?
Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous. It nearly, £1 billion a mile, which is where it's going to end up at. It's just absolutely crazy. I'm just going to... And it's not even confirmed, I think, that it's going to arrive properly in central London. It's also still, I think, up for debate about whether it ends in London / Old Oak Common, which is a bit like Ryanair is building the rail line for us. Maybe Artemis will do the moon / South America or something like this. It's crazy, and it's a national embarrassment that we just can't build these big bits of infrastructure anymore.
And that's the point, Seb. It says something more, I think, about Britain in general. I mean, we recently spent something like 190 million quid on a tunnel that was supposed to go near Stonehenge. We didn't build that. It was just in admin fees. And here we are. There is a sense now that you just can't really do anything in Britain.
Yeah, and look, we sit around all the time on this channel, don't we, and say, where is the growth going to come from? And it's things like this. If we could actually build it, that growth gets unlocked. It's plain for all to see. What I really worry about is that this failure is going to put off successive governments from being ambitious and launching new projects that we really, really desperately need. The other issue to say is that you think about Crossrail, the Elizabeth line in London, when they finish, even if it's over time, even if it's over budget, people love it. It's been so popular here, and I think this will be the same if it gets across the line, if it sees the light of day.
The people excuse me, sorry, the people I feel really sorry for, Carol, are the people who've had their homes or their businesses compulsory purchased.
And all these beautiful kind of reserves, animal reserves, they've all gone. Originally this was supposed to cost 34 billion. Already it's at 100 billion, so you can guarantee it's going to be 20 or 30 more than that. And it was supposed to be all done by 2030. That's not going to happen. And it will not be the fastest rail in Europe, because they've already realised that the trains, they've had to alter the trains because the tracks won't take the fast train that they've got. So it's like they can't organise anything. How can you have the fastest trains in Europe, but you can't run them? You have to adjust them because the rails won't take that fast train. It's farcical.
And government should try and get the small stuff right. I mean, look, wouldn't it be nice to knock 20 minutes off a journey between Manchester and London? It would be nice, but kind of so what? Price? Concentrate on filling the potholes in my street. Concentrate on interconnectivity between northern cities, Northern Powerhouse Rail, as it's called. Concentrate on doing that sort of stuff. Has a bigger impact day to day on people's lives than these huge civil service and politically inspired vanity projects, which never happen.
It is comical, actually. I think, Seb, that we are a small country geographically, and we are so poorly connected. And there are loads of people, especially with an increase in work from home, who would be perfectly happy to live in places like Manchester and and commute to London a couple of days a week or 3 days a week. I know there are a lot of people who do that, but the point there is, I mean, my experiences of this before I started at GB News, I was doing something very similar, and it was a complete lottery whether or not the train turned up. Total lottery. You couldn't do it. There's no way I could buy a house in Manchester and guarantee that I would be able to get to work every day.
Yeah, and look, I'm loath to say it as a southern softie myself, but it speaks to the establishment being based in London, where we have a world-class transport system, everything's brilliant, and the only time that we really realise how bad it is party conference season. You're going to Manchester, you go to Birmingham, you go to Liverpool, and suddenly the press pack gets stuck, and they realise how poorly connected the North is, really. And look, I think you're right about Northern Powerhouse Rail. That's a brilliant thing to be focusing on, because the economic growth is there to be grasped. What I would say, where I disagree with you slightly, is that it's not either or. You can focus on potholes whilst also building big infrastructure. We shouldn't lose our sense of ambition.
But it is either or, because this £100 billion we've spaffed up the wall on this train line could have probably filled every pothole in Britain. You go and ask people living in Cumbria, in Manchester, in Yorkshire, in Leeds, in the North East, what would you prefer, some vanity train line to Birmingham or your potholes? When I was
living in Kendal in Cumbria, there was a bit of the M6 that had roadworks for 2 years. Which is ludicrous. And there was a sign there, which was a drive safely sign, and it was a kid in a hard hat and a high-vis jacket that said, "Please drive carefully, my daddy works here." I thought, he doesn't. I've got no idea. I'm sorry, son. I've got no idea where your dad is, but he's definitely not here. No one's seen him for years. But anyway, there we go. Right, look, coming up, the Daily Telegraph. Starmer sabotages Burnham on Brexit. So Andy Burnham's copping it from all angles. And there you'll see a national treasure who's served his country, who's done impeccable things, kind of beyond par, really. And David Beckham on the front of the Daily Telegraph. That's next. As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in,
Late Edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages.
because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christys tonight, Late Edition.
Alex Armstrong tonight, Late Edition. From 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast. Every day from 6 a.m.
I got scammed over a period of about 18 months. I met the family. I actually met my scammer, met the family, friends. They were all part of the scam.
Did you get a sense, Lynn, that you were being scammed? And if you did, when did that happen?
Not until I went to the police. It took a long time. I think I was groomed over a period of months. So anything he said, I believed. It's very hard to explain how these people can get into your head. You know, only anyone that's been scammed will ever understand. You know.
And how helpful were police when you first went to them?
Police didn't really want to know, if I'm honest. They said, just forget about it. I said, no. I said, I'm not forgetting about it. I said, you've stolen my money. I said, I want my money back. I said, I said, I'll go and do something myself. But at the time, I was just so, I don't know what I would have done. Anyway, they changed their minds, and we set up a sting with them over a 3-month period.
Wow. How much money had this man taken from you, Lynn?
About £100,000.
Gosh.
Over the period of 18 months.
Yeah.
And what would he be saying to you in order to get that money from you?
In fact, I offered him money 8 months into it because I believed that I'd lost something. I was made to believe that I've lost something, so I was offering him money, and he refused at first. And then it just got into I was chasing the money back, and it just, one thing after another, it just led on to another.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
It's a surprise! list.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
OK, welcome back. Let me get you the remainder of tomorrow's newspaper front pages. The Daily Telegraph. Starmer sabotages Burnham on Brexit. The PM says the debate on Brexit could happen as the challenger seeks to keep alive his leadership bid. So basically, Starmer's trying to outmaneuver Burnham. The Daily Mail. Slippery Burnham's 2 U-turns in one day. Changed his mind on Britain rejoining the EU, starting the pro-Brexit area. Now he says he'll stick with Reeves's fiscal rules, which the Daily Mail are saying mean tax hikes. The Daily Star have got a picture of Jeremy Clarkson in a hospital bed following a heart operation. This comes as, I believe, a new series of Clarkson's Farm is coming out soon as well. So this will no doubt feature in the show. The Metro, C-hole surgery they've gone for there. Grandad's brain reached via eye socket in a UK first. It's a new kind of operation. Talking of operations, if we revisit the front of tomorrow's Daily Telegraph, patients are risking having serious conditions missed by doctors working from home under an NHS revolution that's been championed by Wes Streeting. Doctors will deliver millions of virtual hospital appointments at their convenience and from their own homes as part of plans to tackle the NHS backlog. Apparently, patients facing some of the longest waiting times will be the first to test the new service, with virtual hospitals to be piloted by gynecology, urology, oh, here we go, gastroenterology and ophthalmology. Patients referred to a consultant will have the option to connect remotely to one of the specialists across the country. OK, well, what do you make of this, Carol?
Yeah, why would anyone ever think that would work? You can't have a doctor working from home. You have to be face-to-face. You know, you can see things in people's eyes. You can see it by their skin colour. You can tell by their demeanour whether they're well or not. This is just a cop-out. This is the Health Secretary who's just resigned, thank God, before any of the you-know-what hits the fan of the mistakes he's made. This is a stupid mistake. You cannot have doctors working from home, like you can't have cops working from home.
Do you feel quite strongly about this, actually? There's a relative of mine that had, they're fine now, but they did have, it turned out, skin cancer, and they had a virtual appointment during COVID, and the person just said that they were fine because they couldn't see them in person. And if they had seen them in person, then they would have known. And I'm worried that we're going to see a lot more of this, Jake, now. Yeah,
I think, look, this is clearly wrong for what they're proposing it for, but I think the minor complaints I've had my asthma checked with my doctor online. And it was at my convenience. I did it from in front of my laptop. It suited me really well. But, the Labour Party and Wes Streeting have a bit of form on this. He claims that he's brought this waiting list down by massaging the figures, paying hospitals, I think it's about £30 per patient to have them removed from the list. This is another way that he was hoping, if he'd have stayed in position, to falsely bring, appointment waiting lists down by seeing people online. Hang the patient health, hang the risk for the patient. This is Wes Streeting being Wes cheating and just massaging the figures again.
What do you make of that then, Seb?
I don't know that it's entirely true. There are some people who die on the waiting list. That you can't keep them on the waiting list. They're dead. There are some people who decide to go private. You can't force them to stay on the waiting list. Those waiting lists have come down. That is a victory for Wes Streeting, and he can take that.
No, he can't take that.
Look,
he's paid.
The number of people seeing a doctor has also gone down.
Off. That's not curing a waiting list. That's just getting rid of people off it. It's not treating them. It's just massaging the figures. And this also, you can't have a doctor working from home.
Of course you can, because you have doctors now who sit and they take phone calls with patients, and it's a good first screening.
And how can you tell? Because Jake just said he had his asthma checked from home. If a doctor saw you and you might not look quite right, you might not sound right, you might be a weird colour, they can't tell that.
You look lovely, Jack.
Well, you do that anyway. But they can't tell that over the phone, and they certainly can't tell it in a Zoom
Well, if there's anything they can't tell, they should call you in. But there are certain things that they can treat you for from the phone at your convenience, as Jake says. I completely agree with you with that.
But, how does a gynecologist do an examination?
Oh, of course they can't.
That's what they said they're going to do.
Yes,
it's going to be gynecology.
They've not said they're going to do examinations.
Well, there we go. Well, we'll find out. Look, all the front pages in much more detail, and another update on that Islamic Centre shooting as well in the next hour. Don't go down.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hi there and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. It's going to be a damp night for most of us, strengthening breeze as well, with heavy showers then following the rain from the west and dominating throughout much of Tuesday. It's unsettled out there. In other words, low pressure in control of the weather for the time being, ushering in spells of rain followed by showers. This is all ahead of drier and warmer weather we're expecting later this week. But for now, we've simply got the rain, and it's a wet night, especially for Northern Ireland, Wales and the southwest, with the rain turning heavy around midnight. A fresh breeze, and because of the cloud, as well as the rain and the wind, it's going to be a mild night, much milder compared with recent nights, temperatures of 11 or 12 Celsius first thing Tuesday. The one place where it will stay dry through the night is Shetland, Orkney, Caithness, parts of Aberdeenshire, where we begin the day with a keen breeze, 9 degrees, and cloudy but mostly dry. It's damp for the rest of Scotland, rain on and off, nothing particularly heavy away from the southwest of Scotland. Soon enough, showers following the rain for Northern Ireland, and more especially for Wales and the southwest, though it's a damp start to the day for eastern and northern England. In between, something a little drier for the Midlands into central southern England for a couple of hours through the morning, but these showers move in and they're going to be frequently arriving from the southwest through the day. Heavy at times, prolonged as well, where these showers merge together. In between some sunshine, yes, and it will feel a little less cold compared with the last few days, 18 or 19 Celsius in the south and southeast. Wednesday starts off showery again, a lot of cloud out there, but it's a mild start to the day, and through the day we'll start to see the winds change direction. They'll push a lot of the showers through, but we can expect also that change in wind direction to bring higher temperatures through Wednesday, Thursday and into Friday, peaking into the mid to high 20s later this week.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
OK, right. Well, look, there's loads on tomorrow's newspaper front pages. It seems to be a race amongst the Labour Party now about who can take us back into the EU the quickest. There's 3 front pages on that. It's been a terrible day out for Katie Price. I was fleeced by Katie's con man. This is a story in The Sun. Apparently that bloke has been kidnapped in the UAE, so there's that. Also, Britons want to keep the pension triple lock. Do you? Do you want to keep the triple lock? And doctors working from home. Oh, and HS2 costs more than going to the moon, literally.
We're counting down to a spectacular summer. It's your chance to win £76,543 and 21 pence in totally tax-free cash. A lump sum that you could have in time to splash out with this summer. And because it's tax-free, you get to keep every single penny for a chance to win. Text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB21 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 26th of June. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pooled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it? Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask. OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician. Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits. You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it. That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless. But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show. Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world. Am I allowed to talk now? No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact that Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday